So roughly once a year, I like to take a look at some of my favourite movie references in video games. And that's what today's video is all about. Regular viewers of this channel may recognise some Easter eggs from my video game Easter egg series, but there are also some secrets here that you won't have seen me share before. Remember, we are slowly but surely making our way to 900,000 subscribers, so please click subscribe if you haven't already. Oh, and today's video is sponsored by me. If you want to support the channel further, get early access to videos and get behind the scenes stuff like listening to me mess up a whole bunch of times, then check out my Patreon linked down below. Anyway, without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin today's video with Sniper Elite 5. Now, even on the easiest difficulty, in Sniper Elite 5, taking a shot from a sniper rifle will cause your character to bleed. When this happens, you'll need to patch yourself up with either a medkit or a bandage, and on rare occasions, your character will say this.
I got no time to bleed.
So your character saying that he hasn't got time to bleed is not only a voice line that makes him sound like a proper badass, but it's also a reference to this scene from 1987's Predator.
You're hit. You're bleeding, man.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Oh. Okay.
Up next is an Easter egg from one of my all-time favourite games. Now, does nostalgia play a part in my love for Agent Under Fire? Of course it does, but given the lack of Bond games released in recent years, it's still one of the best ways to play as the super suave spy. Now, the Easter egg from Agent Under Fire doesn't explicitly reference the movie that I think it does, but it's definitely the first movie that came to mind. On the game's first level, you have to free Zoe Nightshade from a submarine that's surrounded by sharks. To free Miss Nightshade, Bond will need to use his handy pocket laser. But it turns out that 007 isn't the only one rocking a nifty gadget. If you head to the vent that I do and hold the interact button, this will happen. So the normal looking sharks will now come equipped with laser beams on their heads. Now, I don't know about you, but whenever I think of sharks with laser beams on their heads, I immediately think of this scene from Austin Powers.
You know, I have one simple request, and that is to have sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
Next up is Kingdom Rush Frontiers, which, if I'm honest, could fill this entire video on its own. Anyway, one of my favourite Frontiers Easter eggs can be found on the second stage of the game's Hammerhold expansion, where you can find this. So this magic carpet is a reference to the same carpet seen in the 1992 Disney movie Aladdin, aka the only Disney Aladdin film worth watching. Now, it wouldn't be a video about movie referencing Easter eggs without a nod to the most referenced movie in all of video games. On the Destruct and Serve mission in 2011's Worms Ultimate Mayhem, you can find this. So, despite not actually moving, which is kind of disappointing, placing dynamite beside this car will cause a fire trail to appear. This is a reference to Back to the Future and its time-travelling DeLorean. So, from a movie that's referenced all of the time in video games to one that isn't. The Saints Row reboot has loads of cool Easter eggs, but the one that surprised me the most was this.
The old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be many years ago. Many years ago, many years ago, the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be many years ago.
So this singing bush is strange enough, but nearby you can find 3 blow-up dolls. This is a reference to the 1986 movie Three Amigos, and this scene in particular.
Oh, blow the man down.
Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
oh,
Hi.
blow the man down.
Hi.
Give me some time to blow the man down.
Next up is by far the best Easter egg in this video. though I probably shouldn't say that if I want you to watch the rest. On the Raid of Aberfall map in the extremely fun Chivalry 2, you can find a dark cave surrounded by bones. Now at first you may be nervous about walking past this creepy looking cave, but there's no need to worry. Well, that is until this happens. So leaping out from the darkness is a killer white rabbit who will take you down with ruthless efficiency. This is a reference to the classic British comedy Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which featured an equally dangerous white rabbit. Now, as far as I know, there isn't a set way to trigger the bunny to attack. All I did was repeatedly walk in front of the cave, and sometimes it attacked, and sometimes it didn't. Up next is another Easter egg that references a movie I love. Now, when game developers want to reference the Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes classic movie Demolition Man, they usually do so with 3 seashells. And if you watch the movie, you'll know why. Well, the Demolition Man reference in the supremely addictive Punch Club 2 is actually on the screen now. The question is, can you spot it? Well, this person is a reference to Simon Phoenix, the character played by Wesley Snipes in the movie. Next up is the Easter egg packed Apple exclusive JUNKWORLD. On Swamp Level 24, you can find this guy. So repeatedly tapping the toilet will cause Shrek to appear, and he doesn't look best pleased. I mean, can you blame him? No one likes getting disturbed mid-flow. Up next is the Eggcellent Forgive Me Father. If you explore one of the game's padded cells, you can find this. So it seems that whoever was in this cell is a fan of the Dark Knight, or is even the Joker himself. And given that this is a padded cell, it really could be either option.
Why so serious?
Now, recently, the Talos Principle 2 received an update that added a bunch of Easter eggs, which is awesome and something that I hope more games do going forward. Well, one of these new Easter eggs is this.
I'm sorry, 1K. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Now, this pretty simple Easter egg is a reference to the 1968 movie 2001: A Space Odyssey and this iconic scene.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Next up is Fallout 4. If you head to the CIT building, you can find this. So this skeleton was seemingly killed whilst in the middle of drawing on this chalkboard. Examining the area further, we can find a mop and bucket, so perhaps the skeleton was a janitor. Well, this is actually a reference to Good Will Hunting, which tells the story of a janitor at MIT who turns out to be a mathematical genius. Up next is another reference to an animated movie. In the point-and-click puzzle game Tiny Town Mysteries, you can find this. So this is of course an obvious reference to Finding Nemo. Right, the final Easter egg for today's video can be found in Ghost Hunting Spookfest Phasmophobia. On the Maple Lodge campsite map, you can find this. So this is a reference to Jason Voorhees and his iconic mask. Given Jason's history with campsites and lakes, this is a really cool Easter egg. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to leave a like and perhaps even subscribe if you're feeling really kind. Don't forget to check out my Patreon, the link for which is in the description, and as always, I'll speak to you all soon.